Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Before I go any further, as you can probably hear, I'm losing my voice. I woke up with the lurgy, so you might have to pump up the volume to hear me speak. But hopefully I can get through this video without losing my voice entirely. I hope I can, because the subject is one that you should all be paying attention to. And that is a very, very special domestic card that's coming up this Saturday. So that's the 18th. And it is called The Magnificent Seven, named after the great film. If you younger people haven't seen The Magnificent Seven, it's from the 1960s, I think. It's a brilliant movie. You should go and watch it. It's fantastic. Great actors, great action. And it's put on by Frank Warren and Queensberry. Very, very good card. This is something you should all be paying attention to. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go through the card and just talk, very briefly about each fight, just to give you an overview of each contest. Now, the headline act, if you like, is one that I might do a separate video for, because I think this could be a fight of the year. I really do. That's if my voice holds out. I'll do a separate video. But it's between Nick Ball of Liverpool and Isaac Dogbay, former WBO Super Bantamweight champ. Now, Ball is undefeated. This is a 12-round fight, by the way. I don't know. There's probably some alphabet soup trinket on the line. I don't know. But Ball is undefeated with 18 wins, 11 KOs, no draws and no defeats. He's only 26. He's from Liverpool. He's a tiny little geezer, 5'2", 5'3". But this is a featherweight contest, so that shows how stocky he is. And he is a little fireball. Great fun to watch. Dangerous guy to fight. Uses his height supposed disadvantage to an advantage. And I just really like watching him. His sort of coming out party, if you like, was against Isaac Lowe, another Isaac. That was in 2022 in April. I think it was on the undercard of, I want to say Fury and, it would have been Fury and White, Dillian White. And that was an atrocious undercard. But the one good thing about it was that Nick Ball emerged with a 6-round TKO of Isaac Lowe. He'd only been beaten once before. Isaac at the time was 21 wins, 1 defeat and 3 draws. And since then, Nick has been smashing through people. He did, what was the bloke's name? Jesus Ramirez Rubio, I think the guy's name. I did him in a round. There was a guy called Nathaniel Cocoloco or something like that. He did him in 12. And these were guys who had half-decent records. I don't know whether about the opposition. But normally if you get, someone like Jesus Rubio, Ramirez or whatever his name was, Mexican, sometimes you get these Mexicans, they come over here and they just look really, really impressive, and they're like, well, where's he been hiding? Not a bit of it. Nick Ball got rid of him in a round. And so, he is on a tear-up. He is on an absolute tear-up. And Isaac Dogbay, we know about, like I say, WBO Super Bantamweight champ, formerly. He's got 24 wins with 15 KOs, so he's got some pop as well. 3 defeats, with one of them by stoppage and no draws. And apart from the fact that he sprang a great upset on Jesse Magdaleno, who at the time was 25-0. That was in 2018. He stopped him in 11 rounds. He was on the floor, came off the floor in, I think, round 1, and then floored Magdaleno a couple of times. Then he defended his title, but he ended up losing to Emmanuel Navarrete, who we know is absolutely flying at the moment. That was still in 2018, so he had a title fight between those the victory and the defeat. He lost a unanimous decision, and then in 2019 they fought again, and he got stopped in 12 rounds. But there's no shame in that. There's no shame in that at all, because Navarrete, like I say, is absolutely flying. I mean, he really is. It's fantastic how well he's doing, and those results, they don't really shame Dogbay. Now, in his last fight, he did lose wide unanimous decision to Rabisi Ramirez. But Ramirez is a very, very good fighter. Very good fighter. And is really kind of fulfilling his potential. He was in the process of doing so. But prior to that, Dogbay won a split decision over Joet Gonzalez, who's very good. He beat Christopher Diaz on a majority over 10. Adam Lopez beat him on a majority over 10. I mean, he's normally the type of guy who he'll take on good men and he won't beat them clearly, but there's just so much willpower and determination with Isaac Dogbe that he can normally get the job done. Now, against Nick Ball, can he do it? I mean, again, I think this is potentially the fight of the year, potentially. And at the very least, surely it will be one to remember. I think, because we had some good fights this year. So I'm really looking forward to that fight. That's the headline contest. As I say, this is called the Magnificent Seven. So you've got 7 fights that really are excellent matchups. The next one is Liam Davies, 14-0, who is, like I say, undefeated with 6 KOs in 14 wins, 27 years old. You may remember him stopping Jason Cunningham, the former British, I think he's British Commonwealth and European champ he was. That was for the British and EBU titles. He stopped Cunningham in only 1 round. And that was earlier this year, I think June, I want to say. And he's got some good wins. He beat Baluta over 12 rounds. He's got Mark Leach on his record over 12 rounds. He's been doing the distance a lot. And then out of the blue, he scored that 1 round KO over Jason. And he kind of caught Jason cold a little bit, but it was very noticeable that Liam had changed his style almost. He was very aggressive. He started very, very quickly, which he hasn't always done in fights. So I'm looking forward to this one. And this is for the EBU title, this upcoming fight, against Vincenzo La Femina. I think his name is. La Femina. Vincenzo La Femina of Italy. 13 wins with 7 KOs, no draws, no defeats. I think he's only been out of Italy once, and that was his last fight. And I think it was either in Germany or Belgium or something like that. So he's done most of his work in Italy. The quality of opposition isn't great, but 13 wins, no draws, no defeats, 29 years of age. So this is Liam Davies and Vincenzo La Femina is for the EBU Super Bantam title. 2 undefeated and a very, very good matchup indeed. Looking forward to that one. Then you've got Eko Esserman, who's another undefeated fighter. 19 wins with 7 KOs, no draws, no defeats. Eko's 34 years old now. Excuse me. And he's fighting Harry Scarf for the British Commonwealth. And I think there's an IBF Intercontinental, some sort of IBF belt on the line as well. But the British and the Commonwealth are the ones that matter. And Eko previously, if you go back to early this year, I think it was January, February this year, he beat Chris Congo on a majority decision over 12. That's a good win. Chris came in on 14 wins and 1 defeat. Prior to that, he went 12 with Samuel Antwi, who again was 14 wins, 1 defeat, same record. Beat him on points. That was unanimous, that one. Then he beat Darren Tetley. Prior to that, he beat Darren Tetley. The Antwi fight and the Tetley fight were in 2022. He beat him unanimously, Tetley. Tetley had a good record, 21-2. And these are all fights for the British and Commonwealth belts. So he's been the distance an awful lot. Eko, he can navigate that 12-round distance, no problem. And he's going in against Harry Scarf, who at the moment is 12 wins with 3 KOs, 2 defeats. The defeats were back-to-back, and they were against very good men. Anthony Fowler, in 2019, he lost a unanimous decision. And then he lost, in 2020, he lost to Troy Williamson, 10-round decision. Troy undefeated at the time. And since then, he's had, little runarounds against journeyman. He did beat Lewis Green, over 10 rounds. Lewis at the time was 13-2. I favour Eko to win this fight, probably on points, over 12. But Harry will bring it, and Harry will make Eko work like he always does with these domestic sort of European level fighters. Good fighter Harry, but I see Eko edging that fight. Then we've got Denzel Bentley, who you probably know about. 18 wins with 15 KOs, 2 draws. Only one of them's by stoppage, which was to Felix Cash, which was back in 2021. So not really that long ago. 2.5 years ago. That was for the British and Commonwealth titles. But he bounced right back. Did Denzel? He beat Linus Udofio in 2022, split decision win. Linus was undefeated, 17-0 at the time. He stopped Marcus Morrison in 4 rounds. He then jumped in with Zanibek Alam Halune. I mispronounced the name, I'm sure. Alam Halune. We'll call him Zanibek. And he was expected to be sort of slapped around. That was for the WBO middleweight title. And he lost a unanimous decision. And he did lose. He did lose. But he gave Alim Hanulay a lot to think about. Made him work. And had some... I think he might have even been up after 6 rounds. I can't remember offhand. But I remember thinking, oh, this is the real Denzel Bentley. Not the one against Felix Cash. Against Felix Cash, it was this really strange fight. Because he got stopped in 3. And it almost looked like his mind wasn't on the job. Like he had something outside of the ring that was bugging him. Or, he was feeling down, depressed. But it was a very, very weird performance from Denzel, who was so much better and proved that in his gallant effort against Alim Hanulay. But he's taken on an undefeated fighter. What else on this card? Nathan Heaney. Not Healy, Heaney, his name is. 17 wins, no defeats. He's 34 years old, so this is his big chance to have a sort of Indian summer of a career, if you like. Like I say, 17 wins, that's only 6 by stoppage, no defeats, no draws. So he hasn't got much pop. He has beaten Jack Flatley twice, who's a good domestic level operator. Beat him on technical decision in 5 rounds in 2022, and then earlier this year in March he beat him a unanimous decision over 10. I think it was comfortable. 2 of the cards were sort of 2 or 3 points, and one I think was a bit wider. He hasn't really faced a lot of... his quality of his opposition's been low, I think it's very, very fair to say. He did pick up like an IBO International Intercontinental belt or something in 2022 against Diego Ramirez, who was 24-6-1. But that was over 10 rounds, that was a decision. But apart from that, it's been almost all journeyman. So this is a jump up for Nathan Heaney, who probably hasn't had the opportunities to fight, really good opposition up to now. 34 years of age, taking on Denzel. I would expect Denzel to win this fight, either wide on points, possibly a stoppage in the last third of the fight. I think probably I'll go with like a 10-round stoppage or something around that mark anyway. But it wouldn't surprise me if Nathan hung tough and went the distance. You've then got, have a guess what you got next. You've got a battle of unbeatens. Of course you have. It's Nathaniel Collins, 27 years of age, 13 wins, no draws, no defeats, with 7 KOs. Southpaw. This is a fight for the British and Commonwealth featherweight title. And he is taking on Zach Miller, who, guess what, is 13 wins, no draws, no defeats, only 3 KOs on Zach's ledger. Zach has fought nothing but journeymen. I mean, I looked at his record on BoxRec before I did the video. There ain't a lot on there, to be honest with you. Whereas Nathaniel is coming off a really shocking victory over Raza Hamza. And Raza came in with 17 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat, and got done in less than 30 seconds. About 25 seconds he got stopped. He just got caught cold. He was backed up. Nathaniel got him on the ropes, unleashed like a 1-2, I think it might have been, maybe a 3-punch combo. And just clipped him. He just caught him right, and that happens sometimes. And Raza was sort of out on his feet, and took him a while to recover. He just got caught cold. These things happen. I always remember John Ruiz getting done in about 15 seconds by David Tua, and John would go on to be a 2-time WBA heavyweight champ, and David Tua never won a world title. So when you get caught cold, it can happen, but Nathaniel, what was interesting about Nathaniel is that even though he's got a lot of distance fights earlier on in his career, he started to let his hands go a bit more. He started to plant his feet. I mean, he won a 12-round decision over Jacob Robinson, who was undefeated 9-0 at the time. But since then, he beat James Beach Jr. in 7 rounds. Like I say, Raza went out in 1. He seems to be sitting down his punches more and really letting his hands go and being more aggressive from the off, starting quicker as well. So bearing in mind the low quality of Zach Miller's opposition, I would say Nathaniel Collins will win this fight. Probably a stoppage. It's a 12-rounder. Again, the last third of the fight at some point. It's possible if Zach could go the distance, but he's jumping up a level, a big level. He's only 26, and I think Nathaniel's 27. But yeah, I'm going to go for Nathaniel in that one, either points or late-ish stoppage. So that's that fight. We've then got Hannah Rankin, who is fighting Emma Kozin for the WBC super welterweight title, which is I think it's vacated by Natasha Jonas. And Hannah's got 13 wins and 6 defeats, no draws, which is a patchy record. But when you consider the women that she's fought, she was outpointed by Clarissa Shields. Terry Harper took her WBA and IBO super welterweight belts in her last but one fight. That was in 2022. She got her only stoppage defeat is a 7th round TKO to Savannah Marshall. That's up at middleweight. Hannah's not really a middleweight. Patricia Bergold outpointed her. Patricia was undefeated at the time. Hannah's faced very, very good women, and she won her WBA title, an IBO title, against Maria Lindberg back in 2021. Maria was an old fighter, I think it's very fair to say. But there's nothing old about Emma Kozin. Emma, 23 wins with 12 KOs, so that's a big KO percentage for Emma. 1 defeat, 1 draw. The defeat was to Clarissa Shields 3 fights ago, and I think she was whitewashed in that fight. That was the one, I think, where Savannah Marshall said to Clarissa afterwards, "You beat a child. I'm going to be different." And of course, Clarissa starts getting umpy about it, like she always does. But Clarissa had the last laugh because she beat Savannah. But yeah, Emma Kozin out of her depth with Clarissa Shields. But, you know, I mean, she outpointed Chris Namus when Chris had a little bit left. She's shot now. Chris is terrible. She should retire. I don't know if she has retired, but she should, because she got smashed up by Natasha Jonas in 2 and then lost the next fight in a round. But they have a common opponent, Hannah Rankin and Emma Kozin. That's Maria Lindberg, because Emma beat Maria in 2019, outpointed her widely for a whole bunch of belts that I'd never heard of. Probably never will hear of again. But the quality of her opposition is nothing like Hannah's. I expect Hannah to come through a big test, probably 90, 10 rounder in it, so I would say probably 96, 94, 97, 93 at the most. But I expect Emma to win rounds, and if Hannah is sleeping on Emma, she'll lose, because Emma is going to bring it. Hannah's 33. Emma, I think, 26, 27, something like that. 27. She's from Slovenia. So Hannah's got to be wary of this. She should win, but it's a little bit a case of, you know, are you paying attention? You've got to pay attention in this game. Just ask Mr. Fury. Then the last of the Magnificent Seven is a heavyweight contest. Solomon Dacres, English heavyweight champ, 7 wins, no draws, no defeats. 2 wins by stoppage. He's 30 years old, 6'5", big old fella he is. Hasn't fought anyone, to be honest with you. He did beat Robert Ismay when Robert was undefeated, 11-0. But he stopped him in 2 rounds. But Robert hadn't faced anyone other than journeyman. And sort of found his level at area level, English level maybe. I think Solomon's definitely better than that. He can challenge for the domestic, for the British title. But this is for the English heavyweight title, and he's against an undefeated fighter. What else? 9-0 with 6 KOs. Michael Webster, guy from Middlesbrough, 28 years old. If you look at Michael's record, it is purely people with very heavy losing records. Most of them, I think. Maybe 1 or 2 have got winning records. But I expect Solomon to end this. It's a 10-rounder. I expect him to end it in about 6 rounds. Middle rounds, I'd say. No disrespect to Michael Webster, but I think Solomon is just, from what I've seen of Solomon, I haven't seen a lot of Michael Webster, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you, when I have seen him, he looks to me like a blown-up cruiser. And when I was looking at his box rec before I did the video, I'm thinking, I'm sure this guy's a cruiserweight, because I'm trying to remember if I've seen him. I don't think I have. But looking at his record and looking at the weights, he looks to me like a cruiserweight. I expect Solomon to get it done in 6 rounds or less, I'd say. So those are the 7, but you've also got a couple of other fights. You've got Callum Thompson and Amar Akbar both taking on journeyman. Callum is 7-0. No draws, no defeats. I have probably seen him and can't remember offhand. I know he's only about 24, 25. And what is he like? Is he a lightweight or a 140 pounder? I can't remember offhand. But I know he's only fought journeyman. He's in against Joshua Ocampo, who's got 8 wins, 19 defeats and 5 draws. So yeah, you know, give him a little run around. Amar Akbar, 5-0 with 1 KO, no draws, no defeats. He's only 23, so he's learning the trade. and he's in with a guy with a very heavy losing record called Christian Lopez Flores. 14 wins, 32 defeats, and 2 draws. Be a nice little learning fight. You got to learn the ropes, and I think this, those 2 guys to be on a card of this magnitude, I think it's really good for them. They're both young fighters, Callum and Amar. So yeah, that is the card, the Magnificent 7 card at Manchester Arena on the 18th of November, coming up soon. Frank Warren and Queensberry promote. Do not miss this card. It looks absolutely brilliant, okay? And you're an absolute mug if you miss it, just because you don't see any big names, forget that crap. Watch this card. You're going to have some great entertainment with this card. Anyway, that's it for now. That's been a long video, isn't it? But then it's a stacked card. Thank you as always for your time. I appreciate it. If you could subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the like button, leave your comments below, and I'll try to answer everyone. I don't get a chance to answer everyone's because I just ain't got the time, to be honest with you. It's got to the point now where I just ain't got the time to answer because so many people are commenting. But please understand, I do read them and I'm not ignoring you. And I always appreciate your support. I'll catch you later then. Take care of yourselves. Mark this card as a definite must-see, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.